adveshta sarvabhutanam maitah karunevcha nirmamu nirankara samdukh sukha chami. This slok is from Bhagavad Gita. A person dear to the divine is one who holds hatred towards no being, who is friendly and compassionate, free from excessive attachment and ego, and balanced through both happiness and sorrow. Have you ever asked yourself a very simple question? What does it actually mean to be a devotee? Is devotion simply praying every morning? Is it visiting a temple? Is it chanting God's name? Or is there something deeper that should gradually change within us? The ancient Indian scriptures give us a beautiful way to look at this. True devotion is not only something we do, it is something we become. And perhaps we can understand this transformation through 4 pillars: humility, service, remembrance, and surrender. Let's explore each one. Namaskar, my friends. The Bhagavad Gita uses the beautiful word amanitvam, freedom from the demand for recognition. I don't always need to be praised. I don't always need to prove that I am right. I don't need the world to constantly acknowledge my importance. Humility does not mean thinking that you are inferior. It means understanding that you are part of something much greater than your individual ego. Think about a river. A river becomes beautiful because it keeps moving towards the ocean. It does not stop and say, "Look how important I am." It simply flows. This is humility. And when humility grows within us, something extraordinary happens. We begin to listen, we become less judgmental, we become willing to learn, and we begin to see dignity in people who may be very different from us. The Bhagavad Gita describes the devotee as one who is friendly and compassionate towards all being and free from ego. So perhaps the first question we should ask ourselves is, has my devotion made me softer, or it only made me more certain that I am right? The second pillar is service. There is a beautiful difference between saying I love God and allowing that love to become useful to someone else. Service does not necessarily mean doing something extraordinary. Sometimes service is very small. Listening to someone who feels lonely, helping a person who is struggling, teaching someone a skill, feeding someone who is hungry, forgiving someone, being present when another human being needs you. These movements may never appear on social media. Nobody may applaud. But spirituality was never supposed to be a performance. The Bhagavad Gita repeatedly connects spiritual living with action performed in the right spirit. And the ancient wisdom of the Upanishad begins with a profound reminder, Isha Vashyamidam Sharvam Yat Kincha Jagatyam Jagat. The divine pervades all that exists. If we genuinely begin to see the divine presence in life, then serving another person is no longer merely helping a stranger. It becomes an opportunity to honor that divine presence. So ask yourself, does my devotion make someone else's life a little better? The third pillar is remembrance. Modern life has strange quality. We remember passwords, appointments, deadlines, bills, meetings, messages. But how often do we consciously remember the divine? Remembrance doesn't mean that we have to spend the entire day inside the temple. You could remember God while you are walking, while driving, while preparing food, before sleeping, at sunrise, even during a difficult moment. A few seconds of sincere remembrance can change the direction of the mind. The Upanishad gives us a powerful reminder. Dhyam Atma Pravachanain Labhyo Namedhya na Bahuna Shrutein. The teaching points beyond mere intellectual knowledge. Spiritual realization is not simply a matter of eloquence, intelligence, or collecting vast amounts of learning. And this is important. We can read hundreds of spiritual books. We can listen to thousands of lectures. We can memorize Sanskrit verses. But spirituality begins to become real only when wisdom enters our daily life, when remembrance changes our behavior, when prayer changes our response to anger, when meditation changes our relationship with fear, when spiritual knowledge changes the way we treat another human being. That is remembrance becoming transformation. And finally, the surrender. Perhaps this is the most difficult pillar because we all want control. We want to know what will happen tomorrow. We want our plans to work. We want people to behave according to our expectations. We want life to follow the script we have written. But life rarely does. Surrender doesn't mean giving up. It means giving your best effort without demanding that life obey your expectations. You act, you work, you pray, you make responsible choices. But after doing everything within your power, you learn to release what is beyond your control. Surrender says, I will do my part with sincerity and I will trust the larger wisdom of life with the rest. This doesn't mean we never experience pain. A surrender person can still cry, still grieve, still feel disappointed, but something changes inside. There is less bitterness, less resistance, less obsession with asking, why did this happen to me? And gradually another question appears, what is this experience trying to teach me? That question can transform suffering into wisdom. So if one day you want to quietly examine your own spiritual journey, don't simply count how many prayers you have said. Ask yourself only 4 questions. Am I becoming more humble? Am I becoming more willing to serve? Do I remember the divine beyond my rituals? Can I surrender what I cannot control? These 4 qualities are not a competition. There is no score. There is no perfect devotee. They are simply mirrors. And sometimes mirror shows us something we don't want to see. But that is also grace. Because once we see ourselves clearly, transformation can begin. Perhaps true devotion is not about convincing God that we are good people. Perhaps it is about allowing our relationship with the divine to slowly make us better human beings. More humble, more compassionate, more present, more peaceful and more trusting. Today you take one quiet minute. Put your phone away, close your eyes, take a slow breath and ask your heart, where am I becoming humble? Where can I serve? And how often do I remember the divine? And finally, what am I refusing to surrender? You don't need to answer these questions immediately. Just sit with them, because sometimes the deepest spiritual journey begins with a question and a heart that is finally willing to listen. Humility, service, remembrance, surrender. Not merely 4 pillars or 4 ideas, but 4 invitations to transform the way we live. Namah Shivaya. Dhanyavad.